focus now on your perma red side bans coming out of the ROX Tigers. I think that after the Rift Rivals, we've seen kind of teams try to let Elise go through, dare others to see what happens, and the result is almost always fatal. So I do not expect Elise to go through, and if it does, it will definitely be a first pick.
Yeah, and if it does go through, I think the other ban that we've been seeing a lot on the red side as well is the Kalista, but I wouldn't be surprised if ROX try to pick that up for themselves. I think that last ban for them on the red side is really going to tell the tale of exactly what kind of angle they want to take in game number 1 pick ban. Now we do see the Thresh is going to be taken away from Key. Key, one of the big playmakers for the ROX Tigers. You do want to take away one of the biggest playmakers on the Rift currently, being that Thresh.
But just like he is a playmaker, so is Max. So the champion pool and the support, while it is targeted at that crazy playmaking support, they all have plenty of tricks up their sleeve. And I fully expect Braum to be heavily prioritized here by both teams as not only a great synergistic support with some of the more attack speed focused carries that we see now. You have Kalista that, as you mentioned, was heavily prioritized post Rift Rivals and even a little bit before here in the LCK, and she has great synergy with everything else. And now you have to consider both Rakan, Braum as possible champions that will combo with Kalista. There is just too much on the table left, and it's going to be up to the ROX Tigers to craft a composition that can deal with the likes of this pick. And while Sejuani has been making waves in the jungle, the pick isn't all she claims to be in the likes of Kalista. If it goes well early, sure, your ultimate can truly dismantle Kalista. But once a QSS is bought, that is no longer the case.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about this with me actually before the game started. You were thinking that Lee Sin was another one of these picks that can take down the Kalista. And we actually did see the ROX Tigers hovering over that pick. They decide to go for the Sejuani. You are going to have a ton of CC that's pretty reliable with the Braum as their second pick. So already looking for heavy lockdown in general against this first pick, Kalista.
Hello from Hawaii.
Oh,
nice.
Cool.
What's the name of the fish? Ono, unu, unu, umu, umu, upo, something like that. That's the name of the longest fish in the,
really?
of the national fish of Hawaii.
Wow, never heard of it. We'll have to look that up in between the games, Crumbs.
But yeah, so they go with the Sejuani and the Brahmin. Ever since Samsung played that same composition 2 times against SKT and crushed them, seems like everybody else has been taking a liking to both Sejuani and Braum. Braum is such a powerful support right now. It goes without saying that Unbreakable is one of the best abilities in the game. To nullify somebody from a fight, their abilities get completely thwarted. It's just such a strong team fighting tool, and as well as a laning presence to set you up for a gank and a roaming champion. So just a beefy frontline already from the likes of ROX Tigers. So full-on team fighting is going to be up to MVP to craft a composition that can split push effectively and defend themselves to the onslaught that is going to be the hard engage from ROX.
Yeah, it's a pretty ridiculous addition to the already crazy amount of CC that they have in the Jarvan. And you were talking about certain supports, ones that are very strong nowadays. The Braum, obviously, really big. The Thresh, also a big pick. But the Rakan's been seeing a lot of play recently as well. Did not get picked or banned just yet. We don't even see ROX Tigers targeting any support picks either.
They're targeting the split pushes because they recognize that their weakness in this composition, with Talia already being locked in, is split push. So they have to get rid of Camille, possibly a Fiora or a Jax maybe, although I would trust Shy to be able to handle himself with the Jarvan into the likes of Jax. That's a matchup that Marin actually picked himself, and even if he is up against Fiora, there is a possibility that he can outplay. So instead, they get rid of the other engaged support in the Kalista, and you can expect MVP to maybe go with the Jax this time around. It would be a strong composition for a 1-3-1, but it would leave them vulnerable on the engage front when dealing with Braum, Jarvan, and Sejuani maybe teleporting in or just hard engaging onto you. So this composition so far for both these teams is leaving up so much for us to watch out for in terms of understanding the item spikes and pacing that we're going to get, aka there will be blood.
Oh yes, there definitely will be. And you do see the Rakan banned out, and also the Kog'Maw. ROX's side was definitely looking towards one of those hyper 80 carries. We do have the Twitch still available but ROX is going to pick up the Karma first and foremost in the mid lane.
I think ROX is just begging ADD to pick Jax here, and I have a feeling he might go for it himself. He really seemed to take a liking to that champion.
Yeah.
However, I was not a big fan of how he played it, and instead, Taric, the Radiant in all his glory. He did receive some minor buffs, I believe, in 7-13, so he's a bit stronger, especially powerful into hard engage. So regardless of him being changed into the likes of a Sejuani, if you can combo his ultimate with the hard engage from the ROX Tigers, this champion can single-handedly turn the tides of a 5v5 engage. So I actually love this pick into the answer for Braum, and it's starting to see a new development in the meta where if teams are going to be going with these heavy, hard engage champions, you can always pick a Taric that if he is timing his ultimate well, you can immediately hard engage with your Kalista, throwing Taric back in there and turn the tides of a fight, because free time for Kalista to get Ren stacks? Yes, please.
Yeah, and it's just another pick to add to the insane list of picks that Max has been bringing in. This guy is like, he's concocting all the new builds. He is the master of the meta. He is trying to figure it out so by himself by picking certain picks such as the Taric. And if you had told someone that this is going to be a composition, if they were watching in spring, they wouldn't believe you. I mean, we're looking at Jax, Rek'Sai, Talia is kind of normal, but then Kalista, Taric in the bot lane.
And not just that, but the synergy in this composition. They were the ones that brought Jax into the meta a couple of weeks ago with ADD in the top lane. So everybody has been truly taking an interest in this champion, and now they've actually crafted around it quite well with the Talia, with the Kalista that can take over side lanes, the Taric that can also roam and help, and I'm looking to see a lot of improvement coming out of MVP here. The first time they ran this split push composition, they lacked in team fighting, in understanding the power points that Jax could go for, the spikes, utilizing him, just even in pressure was all over the place. So I expect a lot of growth from this team, and as well for ROX, a lot of coordination here. A composition that requires them to be united will have to come through, and it's going to be a good match. I'm actually really excited for these two comps. I don't think that you can give a clear advantage to one or the other, even come the late game, so we've got ourselves a good one.
It's definitely going to come down to the execution. You know, you can pick a really nice composition, and we've seen it before, but then we've seen teams totally botch the execution. You know, even ADD on the Jax trying to join all the fights. Maybe this time, you know, he's seen some of his older brothers playing all across the Rift, this Jax, and said, hey, maybe I should just split push this time around. So very excited to see what these guys are going to throw out with these picks, if they can actually execute this time around. Guys, game number one is loaded up, so let's jump into that right away. Here we go, game number one between MVP and the ROX Tigers begins now. You were pointing at something, maybe a skin during the loading screen?
Yeah, actually, the splash art for Sejuani makes her look seriously badass. I don't think
she's riding a boar.
You know, Sejuani never really clicked for me, but when I saw that skin in that loading screen, whew, that's definitely a kind of skin I would want to buy if I were a Sejuani main.
You don't play Sejuani? No, Sejuani in the jungle?
Her. Now that she's met, I practice her a little bit, but I'm more of a Lee Sin, kind of guy.
You like to make the plays? Well, Sejuani can make some plays too.
Yeah, but you rely so much on your team. She's no longer the champion that we used to see where she could just solo out champions by herself. Even her kit has now been geared towards being extra tanky, so she's more of a zoning tool for the Kalista, and we might see a point that Kalista is not going to be able to crack through the Braum and Sejuani, where her HP is just so damn high that it doesn't matter how many Ren stacks you can get onto her. She's just going to be able to survive. That's exactly what Bang felt like throwing spears into Ambition, into the SKT Samsung matchup, where we just saw Sejuani tank Kalista forever. And similar to when Mundo was meta, where you just over-tank everything by a sheer amount of hit points.
Well, we already have a bit of trading up in the top lane. We've seen this before. Probably took the Counter-Strike first. trying to get those trades up against the Jarvan.
So all this trading will be in the benefit of ADD because you have a pushing mid laner as well as a more aggressive jungler in the likes of Rek'Sai. But it looks like Beyond just going to be going for a bit of a farm route here. Might see him base right away after here, or even attempt a gank onto the bottom lane. And it looks like that's what we're going to get. There is no vision here.
Yeah, no wards put down. It seems like they're not expecting this at all. Can they line up the stun? Max pushing forward, looking for the Unburrow, and there he does get it after the flash of Key. They're looking for this kill, but Unbreakable comes up, and Key will make it away with his life.
That was a sick angle from Max, actually predicting that Key would be in that location, but he did skill Unbreakable as opposed to stand behind me in that moment, so he was able to live, and all that they got was a lot of HP out of his part and a flash. So heal is still available for Sanguine, which means that they're not in such a terrible position if they are to be jumped on in the 2v2 again, as they can still fight with that combat summoner.
You can see some nice communication coming down here. You see that MVP kind of called down ADD to check that blue buff just to make sure, because Beyond was on the bottom side of the jungle for so long. Even went down to that Scuttle Crab, picked that up, and did not base yet. Just goes immediately back to the farm route, going back to the Wolves now.
Sure, it's an interesting route for the Rek'Sai, especially because you do have the Jax that can take care of your own side of top line, but it's curious to see Seonghwan trying to even look for a gank in this stage. He did get that ward over the wall to help Jarvan push that minion in, but it should be his top priority to just farm. Sejuani, while she does have tools to stun you early on, it's not as important as it is to get your level 6, to get that big ultimate where you can just go bottom lane and dive 24/7. And frankly, with a lot of Sejuanis nowadays, I actually believe that the best use of Sejuani in a team fight, while you might be looking for the wombo, is to just utilize it on a single target. If you can find somebody that is out of position and you can pop right away, that will be just as valuable as getting a massive wombo fight.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true in the sense that, well, they were looking for a gank here. Not really going to work out, but the amount of CC that Sejuani packs into her kit, that if you can lock down pretty much anyone, no matter how tanky they are, you're probably going to kill them if you have teammates there to help. So.
Exactly. That's on the condition that you can obviously kill them right away or remove them from the fight. That's a level 4 ADD, but Shai does not fancy utilizing his combo in there. But back into Sejuani. So if you can pop anybody right away, that's obviously a huge bonus for you in a team fight. But because of the build that we have seen, which is the Warmogs into Gargoyle Stoneplate, it makes her a serious threat in a fight in terms of crowd control. She can just stick onto a carry and eliminate you from the fight because you are stuck there, just auto-attacking her with no chance of actually taking her down. And that means that if you just get a numbers advantage, you just delegate Sejuani to tanking somebody else from a fight, and even though you don't have that massive AoE ultimate, you zone out another carry, and your value increases exponentially in a fight.
Yeah, and you were talking about kind of just having Sejuani go into the jungle, farm up as much as possible, not look for ganks. It's definitely what they're going to be looking for with this Tristana as well. Hitting 18 on this kind of champion can get pretty ridiculous, especially when you have the front line that the ROX Tigers do have. And once again, playing around Songyun, this has just been the name of the game. I was talking about, you know, maybe you can ban out some of the picks that Songyun likes to go for, take away the Kalista, take away the Kog'Maw. They did just that, but I'm excited to see what he can do on this Tristana and exactly, you know, how the team fighting presence of the Tristana comp, the protect the Tristana comp, if you will, against the crazy split push late game of this Jax will go down.
Yeah, so Tristana is super item dependent. She's going to need a heaping helping of gold and even more after that one. But I'm actually quite curious as well on the Tristana. Now, I haven't been a big fan of this pick for a while. She kind of had been saved for more of a demolitions expert in terms of taking down turrets and having that kind of play pattern, but she offers a lot of survivability. So she does have a lot of damage from items, but then again, many other champions do so as well. So what she sacrifices in terms of DPS, she gains in keeping herself alive, in healing. So what's going to happen is that if MVP choose to take a fight, unless they play it out perfectly, it's quite unlikely that a Jax is going to be able to take a fight in this situation. There's just too much crowd control. Concussive blows is more than enough to eliminate him from a fight. Just an auto attack from Braum, and then everybody's on the same page and he's dead. Tristana can always just get him away immediately. So MVP needs to be on the ball with the split pushing game. They need to be getting to a position where the Jax is putting so much pressure on the map that they call down 2 members, and that might also mean that we could get the first actual use of Lava on Karma using teleport properly. So Karma's teleport, always.
Yeah,
always
you've been talking about this pick.
That is just, yes, Karma. Not a fan anymore.
Maybe today is the first time we'll see a good teleport out of the Karma. Stay tuned. We'll just have to wait and see.
Teleport to the lane.
Yeah, it's pretty much all we've been seeing recently. But yeah, I mean, you were talking about split push versus fighting straight up, and we've been harping on this point a bit. But the last thing I want to say is that I think it really is going to put a lot of pressure on Max in these team fights. If they're forced into a team fight, who knows how much this guy has been practicing Taric. His stuns have been on point, but we're going to have to see some pretty perfect Cosmic Radiances really on point to save Maha in that really clutch situation so that they can extend the fight, so that he can actually get those Ren stacks and do something against these really tanky targets.
We also need to see a lot of on-point Sejuani ultimates, because in a 1-4 situation with ROX dealing with ADD, there's not a whole lot of engage left in the side of the ROX Tigers. It's only Sejuani, so she needs to be with the team quite often in order to be ready to pull the trigger on an engage as well as a disengage, because otherwise it's just Braum, Tristana, and Karma, and while they are decently mobile by themselves, they can be caught out by a good Fate's Call, and Beyonce's going to have to get out of this situation maybe. Everybody's coming though.
Yeah, they're going to rotate on down, and because Beyond kind of got the jump on this one, Ian can easily just put up a Weaver's Wall, and that'll be a free Cloud Drake going over to MVP. And there hasn't been too much action so far in the first 10 minutes, so having something happen as they take the Dragon is
the
pretty
reason
nice.
why there hasn't been enough action, though, is because both these teams are perfectly content doing this. So the Tigers see it as, well, if we just hit late game, we're going to win. We have a crazy 5v5 composition. And MVP sees it as, well, if the lanes continue, we're just going to get to a position where our split pushers have a lot of items and they'll be able to put even more pressure on the map. So both are chasing the same goal, and that's why it comes down to the execution, the proper itemization that these guys go for, how they play the map out, if they choose to go for fights. So going for that first Cloud Drake in the eyes of MVP is the correct move, as it does actually help a lot for playing a 1-3-1 style to have that mobility, and it also means that you're kind of accelerating the pace in a way. You're still trying to have some sense of proactivity on the map and not just facing the possible inevitability of the 5v5 from ROX.
Okay, we got the first gank coming on in. Cleanse, though, is on Ian, and even though there's a nice bit of chunk damage out of the Karma, he will be totally safe. Beyond kind of makes a show here in the mid lane, doesn't do too much.
At least we know Seonghwan can aim on Sejuani, which is promising. I know it sounds like too much to ask, but so many times do we see Sejuani's just incapable of actually hitting a good ultimate, and as such, basically costing us a lot on the engage in bottom lane, though.
Okay, they're going to flash away. Missing the Dazzle here is Max. You can see Beyond was waiting in the wings on a control ward, so they were really trying to set this up, but at least they do force the flash out of Key at this point in time.
Hit the summoner, and they're warding behind. They're checking just to see that there's no Rek'Sai hidden, but they have Sejuani as backup, so an attempt on bottom lane will once again simply yield the flash out of Key, and no big deal, as CS is still even between these two AD carries.
And the Farm Fest continues. I know there's probably a couple of guys in chat already that are like, oh man, this is going to be a super late game Resident Sleeper, but I don't know. I think this game is really going to pop off once we hit like 20, 30 minutes. Especially once the Baron gets on the map, and if MVP can secure that, they can even try to really roll this game.
Well, MVP is in 9th place and ROX Tigers is in 7th, so I wouldn't set your expectations that crazy high, but we're definitely going to see a lot of fighting. I think once the turrets, the first wave of turrets start going down when Jax can overextend a little bit more and maybe risk more of his life for the sake of pressure. And then when ROX Tigers feels pressure that they have to go for a hard engage. And I know for a fact we're definitely going to see a lot of botched engages from both these sides. They're engages that rely on skill shot. It's skill shot reliant engages, so it's just a nature of their abilities.
Well, definitely a bit on the line for both of these guys. MVP trying to avoid relegation. ROX, I feel like they get so close against a bunch of really strong teams. Hold that thought, ADD, he's going in, forces the flash, doesn't want to flash himself, and there's the ult, no cleanse this time. Finally, we have a first blood at about 13 minutes into the game. That one will go over to Lava.
Exactly what you want to see, just a casual stroll into the mid lane, first get the cleanse, and then you revisit again before your ultimate is right back up. And ADD chooses not to go for the flash onto Shy, even though he had no mana, instead chooses to just get advantages onto the tower. So wisely, does he actually, instead of going for the kill, tries to go for the tower? I don't think he can commit to this. That's a Karma teleporting, not a Jarv. Wait a minute, it was Jarv? What?
Wait a minute.
Okay, my eyes deceive me, but it was Jarvan in the end. So he's prioritizing turrets instead, and we're going to take another look at the gank on mid lane. They utilize both flashes, so it's a lane gank, and the flash forward in. Look at the distance that Sejuani just covers.
Yeah.
Great accuracy there.
Also, good job setting that up by Lava, really making sure that the tether came in. You could see that Ian wasn't expecting it and didn't flash early enough to get away from that tether. So Lava with the good setup, the 1-2 punch coming out of Sungwon, and they finally get a first blood.
He was playing really far back. That's why they had to commit that, right? He wasn't expecting to be dove at that distance. And one part, it's lack of games against Sejuani currently. You kind of forget the range that she can engage you from. But had he taken some chunk, he could have eventually been dove as well as 100-0. They're both quite tanky, and now we're starting to worry about the top side though, because one more wave that Jax can hit that tower, it will mean that first brick can go over solo to MVP, and this is a smart attempt from MVP to try to pressure out the Jarvan. He's just on wave clear duty, but already half mana. It's costing him too much mana to stay in this lane with not enough refillable potions on him. Jax eventually wins out the sustain war, and Shy is forced to leave, and now he's doing it again, just sacrificing the lane, see if he can get something on the mid lane on a flashless Ian, and oh, he's so dead.
Oh man, Cataclysm comes in, and you called it, Crumbs. Can they lock him down? Easily they do. A second kill goes over to the Karma.
And that's such a high awareness from Shy to actually recognize, hey, if they come up here, I'm either dead or I'm losing turret. No matter what, I'm losing this tower. I need to make something happen on the map instead. And goes mid lane, and sure, you lose first brick, but this proactivity from ROX Tigers is so refreshing. We'll hold that thought.
Oh boy, Fate's Call coming in, and there's the Dazzle. They're looking to lock down Shy. The teleport from behind, and Beyond coming from the left side. They do pick up that kill. Now someone on the run here. He is extremely tanky, but there's the knockup from the Rek'Sai, and that should be a second kill going over to MVP. They do even up the score.
The collapse was so quick from MVP. Every team is hyper aware of what each other are trying to do. You see plays left, right, and center be countered, and the counter play, in the end, somehow Sangyun actually walks away with the tower in bottom lane instead of that mid-tier one. So the roam and response from MVP's bottom lane was just superb, and MVP's top and jungle were actually capable of taking down the top turret, roaming to mid, getting a fight, and now perfectly timed with the spawn of an Elder Dragon. 2 dragons to MVP.
Yeah, the Talia kind of just being the juicy bait in the mid lane, and MVP really being rewarded at the end of it all, picking up the 2 dragons so far, and they're looking for actually this bottom tier one at the same time. They weren't able to push mid, so they will go where the pressure is not, trying to take this one down. They have Beyond in the wings just in case. And Sangyun, he's just walking on in. This is, oh boy, not the best situation. He gets knocked up mid-jump. And actually, they're looking to turn this around. Nice knock up there onto Sangyun, but ROX, with that, will not look for the engage.
No Sejuani ultimate. That's one of the weaknesses of a team composition like this. You're incredibly reliant on your cooldowns. If our cooldown isn't up, you most likely cannot fight. Whereas MVP, the only big cooldown is Fate's Call, and now they're thinking about going on to Ian again.
They're looking for it, trying to get those concussive blows, and it's not going to come in.
So
everybody else just too far away.
The composition that MVP has allows them to take a fight anytime that they want. You've got Counter-Strike as your engage. We're going to look at the replay onto the mid, and Rek'Sai is coming, but the Fate's Call comes in right away. A teleport and a great ward onto the mid lane, and it's just so well timed. The Radiance goes in, so you have no chance of even thinking about turning this battle. And a good wipe, a good defender of their tower, and this is what they can do every single time. Had Fate's Call not been available, they likely would have been able to get this same engage off again, and that's one of the powers of this composition. So MVP will have to be incredibly proactive in this game, and hopefully a big part of that isn't ADD constantly grouping, because he was doing so well in lane and now finds himself 30 CS behind.
Having a rough time so far, but the game is pretty even overall. Just the extra dragons going over to MVP so far. Already a Trinity Force completed for this Jax. Feeling pretty decent. Even a Dark Seal on him too, with 3 stacks already. Kind of an interesting pickup to make sure he's got really nice sustain in the lane. Someone was getting a little bit frisky, looking for that in the flash engage here from Beyond. Maha trying to lock him down with those slows. Here comes ADD with the engage with a big knockup. There's the Sungwon and Shy combination, but the Cosmic Radiance comes in, and they're trying to fight through it, but I'm not sure that it's going to work out. Still a lot of healthy members, but here comes Ian from the right side, the big seismic shove onto the 2 members. But again, Tarek is going to go down, and the rest of MVP is on the run. Big stun here onto Ian. He will eat his 3rd death. And a triple kill goes over to Shy.
Oh, they're getting so desperate, MVP. Going for that crazy engage. Out of all people, Sejuani, literally the tankiest member on the team. They try to flash on him, and they had no chance of even going for that one. And ROX Tigers turn it around. Such a scrappy fight, but that's what happens. Tristana is not at the stage where she's dealing a lot of damage. You've got kind of bursty champions that are still not itemized to deal a lot of damage. It's a Grail, Merc Treads, and an Ardent Sensor on Karma, so they have to wait for Triss to deal all the damage. Unfortunately, MVP, they've got no main tank. The residual AoE from everybody in that fight was just so chaotic, and we're going to take another look right here. It starts with MVP sealing off the blue buff, but here, this is just too greedy. So flashes in, Karma's already there. The engage should be up. If they see they have a numbers advantage, they can try to pop Karma right away, and they do. The Cosmic Radiance is right there as well, but there's no Taliyah here. Tristana's already dealing as much DPS as possible, and Kalista goes down so early that it means that Taliyah making it late into the fight and Jax not being available, they have no chance of taking down the rest of the ROX squad. And this is the beginning of the 5v5 power that they've drafted.
Yeah, definitely looked like a bit of desperation out of the side of MVP, and we've seen Beyond do this before, actually, where he takes these big engages and the rest of his team kind of slowly follows him up, and he definitely hasn't had the same kind of season that he did have in spring here in summer. And I kind of feel like the communication is failing MVP a little bit as well, you know? Kind of Beyond saying, okay, go, go, go. We're going on to Sejuani, and the rest of them are like, wait, what? And then they're kind of forced to go in, and it leaves them in a not-so-good situation. Ian not even rotating until the fight is halfway done, even though he is on that Taliyah in the mid lane. So we'll see if they can kind of settle down and try to stop having these big fights engaging onto a Sejuani. You can see that they have thrown ADD down into the bottom lane with the red buff now. They're really trying to start this push, the split push here starting at 20 minutes.
Exactly, they have to settle down because, sure, the composition of the ROX Tigers in the late game would be quite formidable, but you have Jax as well. And maybe Jax is not capable of taking down Jarvan, but if you can outplay macro-wise, his ability to take down turrets in a matter of seconds is unrivaled. So you do have opportunities to win the game, regardless if you can't win a 5v5. And for a team that is in the position that they are, that they've been struggling all season long, trying to find an identity with different compositions, it's understandable that they're facing these kind of more complex issues or nuances with a split push composition where they have to remember to just keep it calm, stay cool in this, because remember, if it comes to a crazy late game, Kalista can also have a QSS, which is most likely what she'll be thinking about buying as her 3rd item now that Hurricane and Borg have been completed. You've got Cleanse on Ian as well. You have tools to defend yourself for a little bit. So you can buy time for ADD. They just have to set themselves up in a position where they have full control of 2 lanes, at least 2, and just let ADD do his thing.
Look at the situation in bottom lane, actually. Shy is more than a full level up on this Jax for ADD, so we actually had a situation there for just a moment in time where ADD was being pushed in by the Jarvan, having a little bit of trouble with that. Titanic Hydra also picked up for Shy, so he is farming pretty well. So he's making a decent case for himself to fight up against this Jax, at least for now.
It's a teleport.
Teleport coming in, they really want to commit to this, but the Weaver's Wall, Shy's going to be locked in there for now. Just waiting, trying to bait in MVP, say, I dare you to engage. ADD taking a lot of pick damage there from Songyun. We'll see if they actually do want to go in, as ADD doesn't even come close. And here comes the big engage. They're looking for Maha, and they're going to knock him up too. The Cosmic Radiance is too late this time around, and Maha's going to be picked off. They're looking for his duo partner. That's going to make it 2. And ROX with a couple of big pickups.
And now they're going to go straight to Baron, and MVP can't do anything about it. They're not going to take this 5v5, and it just makes me wonder, what are they thinking? They know they can't take these fights, but they do it. They do it every time again. They've got no chance. Like, that's a 20-minute Cloud Dragon. All they have is maybe a chance at a steal. Can Beyond do it? Nope.
Here's Songyun.
They've accounted for that one as well.
Yeah, he's alone for right now, but here comes Key, and Beyond, he's going to try to Void Rush in and flash. He does go in, but he almost gets it. That was really close.
Whew. Okay, that was such a valiant kind of use of his ultimate to figure out a way to bypass the Rek'Sai, or the Tristana and the Brahmin. ADD, while he gets a tower, there's a teleport coming in from behind. They've got their sights on ADD. He has flash. Okay, they've gone the wrong way, so he's okay.
He's got the moves, man. He's going from one turret to the other. Now he's going to make his way towards mid. Not going to do too much damage, and he will be just fine. But nice move there by ADD to make the best of a bad situation.
But
at least.
They break my heart. They're still falling. They're still falling into the same pitfall that they did last week, which was taking fights on a split push composition when you have no business taking a 5v5. It's a Sejuani already. That one champion enough should indicate to you that going for a 5v5 is most likely going to result in a loss.
Yeah, especially with how well Sungwon has been playing so far. His ultimates have been on point. Good engage by Shy too to get in position. I mean, it wasn't too hard because MVP was really close, as you've been pointing out. But here comes the big push with the Baron, and it's kind of just Ian throwing ROX alone, and that's about it. Shy, though, he's having a bit of trouble this time against ADD. His ADD seems like he's picked up some items, but that's going to be okay.
And look at what happened on the map, right? ADD forces Shy to flash out, and everybody from ROX has to react. They stopped pushing that inhibitor because of the pressure that Jax put onto Shy. That's what we should have been seeing all game long out of MVP, utilizing ADD to draw away the 4-man unit of the ROX Tigers, and now they can casually return back in this as Shy has rejoined with a red buff to heal for himself. But there's no chance MVP can defend this. They don't have the tools, they don't have the damage, and they are not going to win the 5v5.
They're going to have to let that one go. We are about 25 minutes into this game, and you can see that ROX, they don't want to get it to ultra late game against the scary Jax. They want to push in while they do have the Baron buff. Still a minute and a half to go, so they're looking for a 7 inhibitor potentially, and the big engage. Cosmic Radiance this time is going to be on points. Jumping on in there is ADD, but he gets pushed away. They will find Shy, though. Will they back off from here? Looks like someone's debating about going in once again. Both of these teams kind of just poking at each other, waiting for those karma cooldowns perhaps, but doesn't look like they're going to go in just yet.
Remember that the Jarvan died because he went so deep by himself. He comboed in and then Cataclysm. There's no chance the rest of the team can follow him up. And in exchange, the only glimpse we saw from MVP was ADD's Jax dealing so much damage to Tristana. But between the shields, between her Buster Shot, they had no chance. So we're going to look at that dive once again. The tower has been taken, and they're thinking, okay, well, we did a little bit of chunk damage to ADD, but Jarvan just goes so far, and immediately Jax jumps at Tristana and just see how much burst he does to him. But unfortunately, the Weaver as well just separates everything. We're in Germany all over again. Nobody can cross. And now they're just sending the parting shots. All right, that was a good fight. Good fight, guys. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, a little bit of a golf clap for both of the teams after a nicely played competition there. But yeah, I mean, pretty much everything was used on that Jarvan. The second he got out of position, I mean, the wall came in, the stun, the knock-up, even the dazzle out of Max. Just wanted to make sure they got that pick off. So they don't lose the inhibitor because of that. You can see that ROX with the lead, still about 7,000 gold. They're still looking to push these outer turrets, and they will do just that.
Unfortunately, now that so much of the map belongs to the ROX Tigers, ADD can't get himself situated in a lane without the fear of getting collapsed on. The speed that Karma now brings to the team is too much for him to account for. Jarvan can defend under turret on his own. He can wave clear effectively, and so ADD is now just stuck waiting for the moves that ROX Tigers have to make. And unfortunately, it looks like for them, their only recourse will be to try to go for a team fight. And the best chance they have at that is getting control of the blue side and then maybe utilizing Baron to their advantage. Because on a straight-up fight, unless ROX positions in the way that Shy did, getting a little bit hypey with the itemization lead that he had, the 5v5 wins are all pointing towards ROX Tigers.
Yeah, now they're going to send ADD down into the bottom lane to push, but you can see Shy has already got that pushed in very, very far. The entirety of ROX, they're just all grouped up, waiting for Sejuani right now as this Ocean Drake is about to spawn.
It's great, right? Because they set up some vision for MVP, and now they're doing what they should be doing. They need to be taking control of the Baron. That's the big objective. There's too many control wards on this side of ROX already polluting that side. MVP needs to respond to it, but now that ROX Tigers pushes in, they feel that they have to respond, that they cannot just let ROX have their way in the red side jungle. Otherwise, they are at risk of losing this Baron, or this inhibitor with the next push.
Look at this push that's coming in from the ROX Tigers. They're not even going for the dragon. They're just waiting for the wave that Shy pushed in, and they're grouping up as 5. They're forcing team fights. They're forcing MVP to respond to this. And with the range now of the level 15 Tristana, you can see that crazy siege they got. That tower is already really close to going down. And they're just going to wait for wave after wave, and we're going to need to see the perfect engage out of MVP. You can see Taliyah already going north, preparing for that wall, perhaps just to delay for one more push.
ROX can play this so patiently. If they have enough patience and they wait for MVP to pull the trigger, they're going.
There it is. Cosmic Radiance coming on down right away. But look at the lack of damage coming in. Big seismic shove, though. Shy, he's going to be forced to combo away. The Sejuani ult finally comes down. They're looking for ADD. He gets extremely low, but he does get away in the end. But look at this. Songyun, in the end, he's still full health. And too many low members as the mid lane is being pushed in. And MVP forced to back away. They will lose another inhibitor.
And in the end, ROX Tigers walk away victorious with what they came here for. All that damage was done onto the tanks, exactly who you want the damage to be dealt to. So ROX Tigers play their team fight well, stay within the formation, tanks in the front, support and damage in the back, and Tristana can just pop off, and she's going to continue to do so. She's got 3 more levels of range growth. Oh, MVP, don't face check that.
Well, they're looking for Max here. We'll see if they can actually pick him up. They're trying to land a stun. Not going to work out. And so with Baron about to spawn in about 5 seconds, they will just turn their sights towards that, and not much that MVP can do at this point. Will they try to fight this Baron fight? It's going to go down pretty quickly.
Losing this Baron is losing the game. Beyond has to try for a steal, but Tristana can always get him out.
Yeah, he's looking for it, though. Beyond coming from the left side will be slowed. Here comes Shy to try to lock him down. Ian getting extremely low. He's going to be jumped on. ROX is totally turned away. And look at Songyun. He's just going to be picked off. He as well. And all of a sudden, this game is turning around.
What?
They just turned on that one, and Songyun got really out of position. What a play, though. They're going to knock Shy in. He will be able to combo out because he is playing Jarvan. But now they're really just trying to get Songwon out of here. The ultimate is going to come in. Songwon getting low on mana. He's going to be knocked away. Cannot get the steal. And he's going to be knocked up. There's another kill going over to Beyond. And MVP, they've got a chance.
The ROX Baron throw. Oh, who could have seen that one coming? They got it was so chaotic. The call was completely split. Tristana flashed in here. Watch Tristana. She goes in, so they're turning on to Beyond. All they have to do is get Rek'Sai out. They can tank forever. But instead of doing their due diligences, they split up. Jarvan in the front. Tristana engages and flashes in onto this other target, blows her QSS right away. And as soon as her position is compromised, the rest of MVP can just demolish the Tigers. And now we've got a split push composition with Baron, and this is all falling apart for ROX.
It really is. Shy getting a little bit out of position, almost a beat to try to get Maha caught, but does not pay off in the end. It looks like Max actually did die too. But yeah, man, that's just one big missed call. Songyun going ham by himself, Rambo. I think he was trying to flash behind to get the buster shot into his team, but it didn't work. I mean, Ian just flashed himself and he was totally safe. That's way too risky of a play.
The thing is, when every time you play a game, and it constantly evolves depending on how fed you are, how much gold you have, but for the most part, based on your champions, you get a memo with every game. All right, I'm playing Tristana in a protected Tristana composition. I need to be playing defensively. I need to be saving my flash to save my skin as often as I can. So an engage onto the dual lane just results in Tara getting killed, but that's not such a big deal. So Tristana needs to be playing like the team composition revolves around her, because it does. She needs to be playing defensively, utilizing her summoners when things get too hairy, not trying to make plays. That's why they drafted Sejuani, Jarvan, and Braum. They are the playmakers. She's trying to do too much, and now MVP is sitting with a comfortable Baron and a Jack split pushing that has a Blade and a Hydra.
Getting really scary as the time goes on, and I would kind of define that as a solo queue play. You're trying to go in, you're going by yourself, you're looking for the crazy highlight reel, you know, I'm going to win this fight for my team. But as you were saying, I mean, you're Tristana, you're almost level 16, your range is ridiculous, you have the biggest front line in the game. Just sit back and auto attack, that's all you have to do.
Here it comes again. It looks like Shy will most likely be teleporting in here. They're pushing into a Baroned up team. Yeah, there comes a teleport, 5v5.
They really want to engage on this. Songyun with his big range is going to begin pushing this down. And again, Shaihe's going in. He's going to be stunned down for an incredibly long amount of time. Look at those Ren stacks. He's going to be slowed too. There's the big shield though. They're still looking for this play. Someone inside taking all the damage. Can they get the kill? He's going to flash the wall and get out alive. ADD not able to find the follow-up flash. And Beyond isn't able to pick up the kill, and so ROX Tigers, they're playing with fire, man.
Oh, Rek'Sai is like a thing of nightmares now with that ultimate that chases you to no, and he will be fine on this situation. Baron is up in 20 seconds, but the ROX Tigers, they're getting so impatient with all their play. Now going for a push into a Baroned up team, Shy going in uncharacteristically, and now MVP gets a surge of confidence going in for, oh, they knocked Triss back.
That was a big seismic shove. Not able to get the kill though, and here comes the engage the Cataclysm onto Ian. And, oh, look at that burst damage from the Jarvan, and now ADD is going to be caught out. The Counter-Strike is going to stun him, and he leaps to the victory, to the safety. Maha though is going to be all alone and goes down. Songyun, that Dragon Trainer Tristana, she wants more kills. Can she get it? Doesn't look like it. Shy cannot go up against ADD at this point.
The magic of teamwork. Now ROX Tigers can play a 5v5 and almost always win as long as everybody's not giving up so much of their hit points right away. They're pushing in for 2 inhibitors now. I'm not sure they're going to have enough time for 2 as Jax and Tarek are back.
Still though, the Talia down for 20 seconds. No Maha either. Are they even going to go for the end? They do have these super minions pushing in, and Tristana has crazy siege. ADD with the Cosmic Radiance trying to make something happen here, but it doesn't look like he really can. He's not in position, and the big knock of the Glacial Fissure out of the Braum. That's going to keep Songyun safe for years and years. He's not going to take any damage, but they have delayed a lot of time. Ian now has come up, but Shaihe's going to join in. The big knock up, a Counter-Strike here onto ADD. Can they take him out? It's incredibly close. Actually, Jarvan, rather Max is going to go down. Big engage though, ADD and Beyond getting engaged upon here. Maha by himself, and he's going to get help from the Rek'Sai. They're trying to keep him alive. The big seismic shove. Can they take out any of these ROX members? It doesn't look like it outside of Shy, but they are incredibly low, and ADD is a scary Jax.
What a sick fight we get in the base. In the Nexus, out of all places, they just tank each other for days. Tristana with like a trillion auto attack, but ADD, his stun is basically the anti-Triss counter. You got no damage on this guy, so he can just stay alive as long as possible, but such a great defense from MVP. I sure thought that MVP was gonna go down right there, that Tristana would be able to defend, but with the use of Max's stupendous stuns and ADD's valiant attempt at surviving as long as possible, they're actually able to hold off on a game-winning push. And now they've got a new lease on life as Baron is coming up in the minute 30, and at this point, anything can happen around Baron. So, hell, it could be MVP somehow winning this one if Baron goes their way.
I wouldn't be surprised at this point. It really is going to come down to that final Baron, as you were talking about. And this is what we meant. This is the crazy game that we got ourselves into. We're going to go over this fight once again. Look at how much time they buy MVP.
The Cosmic Radiance gets timed well, right? As soon as they're tanking everybody. But this stun from Tarek was just the one that sealed the deal for me. And they're utilizing their jumping abilities to get out. So they're walking in forward and getting out with the tools that they can, which allows them to buy some time. Had ADD just casually jumped, leap strike in there, wouldn't have the cooldown to survive through all that. And, you know, a little bit of a Nick Smithy moment there, but for the most part, ROX trying to do as much as they can, and it just shows how many rent stacks it takes to take down some of these tanks, and the answer is like too many to count.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably around the 15 to 20 range at that point when finally Shy was able to go down to Maha. But again, grouping up here, 2 inhibitors have come down after all of that action. And ROX, they want a 3rd inhibitor. If they can get it, they can easily go towards the Baron. MVP, they're going to go for the fight. Big Glacial Fissure again. And the big Sejuani stun, but the Cosmic Radiance keeps everybody really safe. Now Seongwon in the front. So many Ren stacks. They're looking for the Tristana. She is able to jump away, but look at Seongwon getting extremely low. But so many slows come out, and MVP can't follow up with an engage.
And now ROX Tigers can turn onto Baron. It was risky already to go for that play, opening themselves up to an engage, as MVP would have been able to walk away into a Baron had they won that fight. But instead, they disengaged properly, and they set their sights on the next objective. And now, with 2 inhibitors down, an open 3rd, as well as a half HP Nexus turret, this should just be as clinical as you would hope ROX would play. Just 5 down the mid lane, don't do anything fancy. You don't need to go in. Let MVP try to engage onto you.
Yeah, ROX, they've surprised us before by letting the game go a little bit longer than we were expecting with a couple of mistakes. But it looks like this time they're going to try to play it as safe as possible. Take both objectives. They have a pretty decent Elder Drake with the 2 Elemental Drakes. And they should just go for the big push down mid. They're all going to group up right now. And MVP, they'll need the Miracle Hold.
This is as strong as your Tristana is going to get. 6 items, Baron, Elder. If they can't close out in this one, well, I don't know what they can close with.
Well, looks like they're going to go for the inhibitor first.
Buy some time for the waves.
Yeah, play it safe too. Easy rotation over here. Ian and ADD trying to do their best. Big Glacial Fissure onto ADD, or rather onto Ian. Cosmic Radiance finally comes down. Look at ADD. Gonna get Buster shotted out though. He's getting incredibly low, and a big seismic shove, and all of a sudden, Seongwon's gonna go down. Everybody's still alive.
Are you
MVP,
kidding?
they hold the baby, and they're going for more. Lava on the run. Trapped by the wall. I think that's going to be the end of him too. That's a 3rd kill, and MVP holds on.
Why, ROX? Why? They engaged with Jarvan and brought Tristana was over the wall. Tristana had to jump in to get into the fight. Karma wasn't even there. All right, watch this engage. Watch how disjointed. The carries are going behind. It's a triple engage, but there's no fall. Triss has to jump in and immediately gets leaped on right away, of course. So she's out of the fight from the get-go. The tanks have already taken way too much damage. Oh my God, ROX Tigers. I mean, MVP is just going to take it on a silver platter there. Great use by them to kite out and seize the opportunity that was presented from ROX Tigers, but this is not promising for a fight, a protect the carry formation.
They're just trying to make it interesting, I suppose, because that's really all I can come up with at this point. So this is kind of the games that we were expecting out of 9th and 7th place, right? I mean, they're not going to be perfect. They're going to make the mistakes.
I had higher expectations, Valdez. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's going on.
These guys, they offer the entertainment, even if they didn't do it on purpose. Definitely putting on a show for us tonight.
You know, I watch these guys every week. I think about them daily, how the League of Legends works, how the champions operate, the compositions. So I got the idea in my head, oh, it's going to go through. It's going to be beautiful. And then when it's not, well,
Well, I mean, we said it before. Comes down to the execution. And, well, in this situation, we're not going to have execution. We're just going to have fun, fun, fun.
It's a bouncing castle, but they know as a 5-man unit they can do it again. Just don't engage. ROX should still have advantage in a 5v5.
Well, they're going to engage here onto Key. He's extremely tanky. No seismic shove this time around. ROX, all they have to do is the slow push. Wait for the wave. They don't have the Baron anymore. So, just got to wait for that. Poke with the Tristana behind the Unbreakable. And go in slow. But MVP, they're going for the big engage. They got a 3-man stun. And now with Cosmic Radiance and the seismic shove this time out of his Tristana. They're looking for more picks. Big Sejuani ultimate, but another good engage there. Shy trying to go deep. He does take out Ian, but he will trade it for his life. Sungwon on the run. Looks like it's just going to be 1-for-1. Can they get Shy here? Looks like they should be able to. He's all alone. Make that a 1-for-2. As MVP, they hold on again.
I think MVP is slowly going to be able to do this. They actually are playing these fights out so well. They're so damn tanky. And Tristana just can't do any damage. If Jax has his counter-strike up, they have no damage onto this guy, so he stays alive. Rek'Sai's playing the fights out well, and the backline just cannot tank Talia and Kalista now that she's just building up so much damage. And we're going to look at the fight once again. So the flash in from Taric is beautiful right away, so a great engage. And as soon as the Cosmic Radiance hits in this position, you know they have to put the tail between their legs, and oh, they're playing the crowd control so well.
It's perfectly layered. I mean, it's one after the other, the engage, MVP. Their communication is on point, it seems, once they get into these really desperate situations, at least. And
I think Tristana has to sell the rapid fire cannon. She needs more damage pronto. It's got to be a Hurricane or a Phantom Dancer because this extra range is not adding a whole lot to this composition. They need to up their damage, and unfortunately Karma is just now starting to get some more serious damage items. We have a needlessly large rod on her, which, well, let's hope that it turns into a Death Cap and not a Ludens.
I mean, even so, like even if she goes 6 items, crazy burst damage, she's only going to have that 1-Mantra Q basically. Then she's going to be that utility mid that they were looking for. So it's going to be mainly Songyun for the damage. I mean, easily the Redemption can cancel out 1-Mantra Q. You get the Cosmic Radiance might even block it if the timing is good. And so it's really going to be just up to one player. The one player they've been basing their entire team composition around for so long, for so many weeks in a row. Can Songyun do it, essentially, with the help of his teammates?
It's a late game Tristana. It's better on paper than in reality. All right, so MVP, they're looking for the same engage that they had last time, but they don't have flashes available to them, only the carries. After that, the late game Kalista, we've seen what she can do with her Rage Blade. Oh, Jax used Sleep Strike, they have some time.
Yeah, they get a bit of poking damage done. Sungwon, though, eating a bunch of Ren stacks, already down to half health. Doesn't look like any shields were blown by the Karma just yet. Waiting for it, trying to buy some time for Songyun to take out this inhibitor. It was extremely close. Here comes the TP from behind. They're looking for it, and another big engage, and another Cosmic Radiance. Can he get the stun? And perfect Buster Shot to save Songyun's life. He's in the back doing that damage, but Key, his front line is going down. Sungwon getting really low. The big face call onto 2 members, and they get the knock-up Shy. He can't get away. That's 3 more kills. And MVP, I'll say it again, they're still alive in this game.
They just have no way of doing damage. Tristana is just sitting there wondering, what should I even be doing? They have Radiance. There's the Jax on my ass 24/7, and now they're shooting for that Baron. It's 100% theirs. The rapid fire is just trying to be a backdoor tactic and going for this, resulting to guerrilla warfare now.
You got to do what you got to do, right? But ADD's here, and so is Ian. A couple of these carries coming in. Songyun already eating some damage. Does dodge that seismic shove, and so they will pick up 1 inhibitor. EDD also getting a pretty low, but he does have that Guardian Angel trying to get the stun. He does land it, and Songyun is going to pay for it with his life. Ian does get up, but they do get 2 inhibitors.
They trade 2. Oh, Lava, where's he going?
He can't get out. He tried to TP out. The Karma looking for a use for the TP. It's not going to happen this time. Trying now to just buy time, but easily will go down. And also, meanwhile, Baron did go down to Maha and someone else over there. So MVP, they've got Baron now.
X marks the spot for where Karma goes down, and this game just got, this is wild at this rate.
This is actually a ton of fun. I love these kinds of games. Even if they're not the most competitive, it's so back and forth.
Oh, but the team fights are such a joy to watch. You've got Tristana. Just pay close attention to the way that she's playing, but now the tanks just cannot survive these carries. Talia and Kalista in the late game are formidable forces, and now they're shooting for mid. They're definitely going to be able to get an inhibitor as Trist is not up for another 9 seconds.
Yeah, and we still have ADD. I mean, you mentioned a couple of the carries, but
okay.
ADD still has his Guardian Angel available, still is on 6 items, and incredible tanky in his own right with the Counter-Strike. So they're sticking in this one, MVP. They're bringing us to 50 minutes. They're not going to commit to pushing the base just yet. They want to make sure that they don't have their own base backdoored or pushed in.
Okay, we got the 6th item on Tristana. Kept the rapid fire, but we've got a Hurricane now. So trying to do a little bit more DPS, thank God, because it was necessary. But now for MVP, this is the point that they were okay with. They were okay with hitting that late game, getting to a position where they're dealing just crazy amounts of damage, that they have that factor over everybody on the ROX Tigers. And that's what they've been relying on, as well as just clean execution between Max, Beyond, and ADD, utilizing the Fate's Call, utilizing the stun effectively, and they've been layering so much onto Sangyun to just try to get him on lockdown, and his Buster Shots have been what has kept him alive. Otherwise, the layering of CC would have just resulted in him getting a lamppost to the dome, which I believe now is actually a real weapon onto Jack, so I guess this is what happens.
You give him enough items, that lamppost is going to get pretty scary.
No, he's got a real, literally, that skin has a real weapon.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
What is that thing?
It's Jaximus.
Looks like a giant axe.
He's like he's a gladiator. It's Jaximus.
Oh, that's cool. Well, we got Elder Drake spawning the second one of the game in about 15 seconds. So another forced team fight will come in. The question is, the 6-item Sangyun on the Tristana, selling his boots, should be able to do a bit more damage. But MVP, up until this moment in time, they've been getting near perfect engages. So ROX, if they can avoid the perfect engage from MVP, if they can have Sangyun do a bit more damage.
Whoa, that heal.
That heal is pretty crazy at this point in time. Glacial Fissure knocks up Ian. It's not going to be available in the fight now. He used Flash for that too. So he not able to get the engage that his team was looking for. And we're in a really dangerous spot for the ROX Tigers.
MVP have 5 flashes, so they're most likely going to be able to pull up another one of these great engages.
Trying to get Sangyun in the front to just poke, saying, okay, I dare you to engage. ROX, they have a decent amount of disengage. They have to stay spread out. They can't get double knocked up, double stunned by Jax, double stunned by the Taric. They need to make sure that they're spread out and they don't get engaged upon like that. ADD, he's actually going to single-handedly split up the team. They're looking for Sungwon now. He will flash away, which means that he cannot engage with that flash this time. That will open up this Elder Drake with 3 flashes down on the side of ROX Tigers. Though they are looking to engage. The stun is going to come down. Insta QSS from Maha. And they immediately turn back on to the Elder Drake. Big engage here from ADD. They're looking for Sangyun rather in the back. ADD's just going to leap out. The redemption is coming down. They're looking for that smite. It's going to get pretty close. It's going to go over to MVP with the smite. The big knock up in the back, but Beyonce's all alone. The Void Rush coming in. He's still all alone. He's going to go down. MVP, this time around, they're a little bit disjointed. ADD gets one kill. The base is going down. They're going to TP. Here they go. ADD's all alone. He's going to try to TP. Oh, this is not going to be enough. Lahama, he will do it alone.
Oh.
What a game we have had. The lanes pushing in at the end of it all will finish this game at 50 minutes, 50 seconds, and the ROX Tigers, amongst all the mistakes, they make it happen, and they do take the victory.
And you wouldn't have it any other way than on the last engage. They go for it again without Fate's Call. Fate's Call was down, so when it came down to defending an objective, MVP fell apart. They got too greedy going for that one. And Shy gets to backdoor the Nexus. My God, what a game. That was special.
Yeah, that's, neither of these teams are making Worlds. They're not going to make it to the Gauntlet, but that one will definitely go down in LCK 2017 summer history as one of the better games we have had. Extremely exciting, back and forth action.
Hey, we're here for entertainment, so that's exactly what we got with the Gladiator, and then so much team fighting that was so... Like, what made it so exciting was that these fights would last forever. The tools that both these guys packed to go on to a 20-second fight was just, oh, I want to see more, kind of.
Well, you got your wish. You're at least going to see this game once again in the replays. So this was the botched engage from MVP where they got really far behind.
Yeah, this is where we were thinking, okay, MVP is getting a little bit desperate. What's going on? Trying to go for an engagement to Sejuani. Talia wasn't there. The fight's unlikely to be won by their hands, and as predicted, they lost a 5v5, but the big turning point was that Baron that I hope we get to see it in the replay. Just see them walking around. Okay, so we're not going to get to cut to the Baron just yet, but this is like the mid-game hard engage that was just so devastating. That pointed, all signs pointed to ROX Tigers just running away with this from this point on. We're like, okay, they're grouping up as 5. It seems to be no answer on the side of MVP, but here's where the hard engage went a little too hard.
Yeah, it was a really nice wall there by Talia, and just a team effort to make sure that they can snatch Shy after he does make that big mistake. And you can see they don't get greedy this time around. They just back off.
Oh, this was the one. It's such a weird call. Lava's back on the Baron running around, trying to just not tank it anymore as Tristana gets gibbed instantly. And ever since this point, MVP had full signs of life, and they defended just so well on this final push. It looked like it was going to be a ROX Tigers win at this point. We were thinking that Tristana, the demolitions expert, but these great stunts. The ultimate from Braum essentially gets nullified by nobody being able to hit any damage because of that great stun. So now they have to walk away, but they actually go for a re-engage. We thought it was done, but they went right back in. The Fate's Call comes out, but then the fade away Sejuani ultimate. To remind you where the battle started. That's basically what it is. A historian's ultimate.
Bringing us back to the beginning of summer. ADD himself playing a lot of Sejuani, missing a bunch of ultimates. We've seen it all before.
Oh, and like this was just, I don't even know what to say. You forced Tristana to jump in with Rocket Shot. That's how bad that engage was with the Rocket Jump. So
to jump into the counter-striking ADD Jax.
Exactly. The second that happens, you know it's going down. And I gotta say, the engages from Shy and Key were great to begin with, but in the later stages of the game, it just was not the case. MVP took full advantage of it, and so many times we see the tanks just running away, but Tristana unable to deal any damage. She's just auto-attacking away, but look at that. Beyond's got health to go for days. That Trist was never going to take him out, and only in that last fight did we see just how long Tristana would take to actually melt down the tank.
Yeah, she was stunned for a pretty long time in that fight as well. And you can see here, good buster shot, but she's running away most of the time.
We're getting the director's cut on these replays. We got the whole game for you, the unseen footage, and more of MVP just crushing ROX Tigers in all these fights. So it looked like almost a Jin air. Never mind. We cut it early. Straight to the results.
So this one will go over to the ROX Tigers. 50 minutes was a incredibly close game, even though Tristana did do a lot of damage.
Look at the Taric damage. No.
What the hell?
What is going on?
Taric with the most damage. Almost the most damage. What a play there by Max. I knew he was good, but not that good.
Damn, man. That dazzle. No, that's
dazzling us all.
It got changed with Jaxus.
A man can believe. I hope so. But either way, guys, we are going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, I hope we get some more of some same action.